What's up YouTube? This is Alex here from Team Generations, back again with another deck profile. Today we are looking at Extreme Battler Victor for Nova Grappler. This guy released out of the Storm of Blue Cavalry set, so just recently dropped. Honestly, super fun deck. Not the most competitive results-wise, but I think you can definitely take games unexpectedly off of a lot of different people. There's a lot of high roll involved in this deck. I think that honestly you have a ton of restanding columns that are very powerful, and you can honestly take a lot of games off people that they're just not expecting. So I think it's underrated. I have a great time with this deck. I love aggressive decks that just restand, have multi-attacks. That's totally my thing. So if you guys want to just skip right ahead to the deck profile, I will timestamp that. If you guys want to stick around for just a minute, just want to say some quick thoughts on some things that just happened recently in the community. So yeah, let's hop right into that. Yeah, I just wanted to really quickly give a huge shout out to Winning Image for putting on Cardfight Con last weekend as time of this recording. Honestly, such a super awesome event. It was really nice to see some of the larger names, some of the smaller names all get together and really make that. So I learned a lot of different things. I learned things about the game itself. I learned things about, vending, things of that nature, things that I'm not really particularly interested in, but still just, it's good to know that kind of stuff and kind of become curious about different aspects of the game. I really like too the Aquaforce panel. It's nice to hear some of the enthusiasts complain about their favorite clan, but the same way that they are super invested into one clan, I'm kind of like that with Narukami, but I believe variety is the spice of life, and I love doing different deck profiles, playing with different decks, keeps the game fresh and interesting in my opinion. So, and it helps you, like I believe Commander Jaime kind of touched on this, that playing different decks allows you to basically learn different matchups. So I'm definitely in that train of thought. So that's why you see just a variety of deck profiles on my channel. I love playing all different things. So thank you guys again so much for doing that. I did buy one of the Shadow Paladin mats that you guys were selling, so definitely going to be featuring that on the channel coming up. So yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into the deck profile and we'll talk about Victor. Alright, starting off, as you could probably guess, we got 4 of the big guy himself. This is Extreme Battler Victor. His skill on Vanguard Circle is when placed. We get to look at the top 7 cards from the top of our deck. Call up to 1 grade 2 or less with Extreme Battler in its card name from among them to Rearguard Circle, then shuffle our deck. So super nice to thin your deck out a little bit, get the whatever extreme battle you really want. There's one particular one that we're always kind of going for. I'll show you that in just a bit, but definitely a nice skill to get that top 7 off. I think, speaking of top 7, it just kind of sucks that he does not have a top 7 searcher for himself. I find that that's the biggest flaw of this deck that I just want to touch on really quickly. It's just, there is the grade 1 searcher, but there's no top 7 finding this. That's honestly my biggest gripe with the deck. But moving on, the second skill on Vanguard, this is the main skill that we really want for, is when it attacks, you can counter blast 1, soul blast 1, and we can choose up to one of our rear guards and stand it. If that rear guard has stood 2 or more times during this turn by a card's ability, this unit receives drive +1 until the end of the turn. This is super nice because triple drive is honestly very, very threatening. Your opponent has to pick up bigger numbers in order to really stop and get that no pass. This is nice too because you have a higher chance of hitting triggers, obviously, and putting that on a rear guard that you would plan on restanding over and over. And honestly, it is not difficult to restand rear guards twice in this deck. Very, very easy. So very solid skill overall. I really like this card. I love the artwork too. I don't know, the foiling is just, I don't know if you guys can really see that over here, but I think it's just really awesome. So I do dig this card, and I'm very glad they brought it back to standard. The only other grade 3 that we are kind of running is actually an order card. This is Clear Frame Whirling Wash of Curse Cleansing. I always forget the name. Its skill is choose one of your circles, unlock the lock card on that circle, and stand that rear guard on that circle. If you unlocked or stood a card, we get to draw a card. So almost like a pot of greed in a way, because we are pretty much always going to have ways to rest our units, or very often at least. It's nice to just have this in there because you can thin, get a restand off, and draw a card. So I am running it at 1 of. You could honestly bump it to 2. I'll tell you what card a little bit later if you wanted to drop maybe something down, but yeah, I am running that at a 1 of. Alright, moving right on along to the grade 2s. Quite a few grade 2s in this deck. The first guy we have is Extreme Battler Dosledge. His skill on Rearguard Circle is when it is stood by a card's ability, we get to perform the effects below according to the number of times that it's stood by a card's ability. So this is the main target. This is what it does. For all of the restands, 1 time, this unit gets an additional 10,000 until the end of turn, hitting nice numbers there. 2 times, we get to Soul Charge 1, which is nice because you get to pay for part of Victor's skill with that Soul Blast 1. and then 3 times or more. Until the end of turn, this unit gains an additional 10,000, and your opponent cannot call sentinels from his or her hand to Guardian Circle during the battle this unit attacks. So if you're swinging 3 times with Victor, you restood this guy, you have, let's say you hit a crit, maybe hit 2, whatever it may be, this can become extremely threatening and close out games very, very quickly. Honestly, this is the bread and butter of the deck next to Victor. This is always the guy you pretty much want to call off of Victor's first skill, making really nice numbers in general. If you're not on an Excel circle, this is going to be 19k with the first skill, and then it becomes 29k. It also becomes 24 or 34, so hits really nice numbers on an Excel circle. Excel 2 is typically what we go in this deck, so very threatening, nice to restand it over and over. A lot of different ways to do that, especially with that grade 3 order card. I find that it is nice just to pop that down and get that guy restood. Sometimes too, we do need to make sure that he is rested, so in order to do that, we are running 4 of this guy. This is Brutal Jack, so kind of an oldie but goldie, I like that phrase. On Vanguard rearguard circle during our turn, this gets an additional 10,000, so always gonna pretty much get over a trigger unless your opponent's on grade 3 or whatever. So its second skill is this card cannot stand during the stand phase, so this is also a nice target if we don't have one of him, if we haven't found it or anything like that. This guy can stand himself, and you can attack and also use Victor to restand him, so he still enables us to get off that second drive from Victor, which is very nice. And its skill on rearguard circle once per turn, its final skill, is Act. We can rest 2 rearguards and stand this unit, so we can actually rest him. There's a lot of different cards in here that we use to restand cards. Obviously we went over that grade 3 order card right now, but I'll show you all different ones later, so it's nice just to have a way to get him rested in the main phase so that you can go ahead and do a couple different things and then pop into your battle phase with the full 3 restand effect going off. So I like Brutal Jack. He hits nice numbers, he just makes the deck work. I feel like he goes really, really well with this deck and a couple other cards that we are running in here. So speaking of another oldie but goldie, we are still running, I'm running 4 of these guys, Kick Typhoon. My main goal in this deck is honestly to swing, have extremely aggressive turns. I want to swing as much as possible with my Dosslage, so this enables me to do that. His skill on Vanguard Rear, when placed, if this unit is on Vanguard Circle or an additional Rearguard Circle, one of our units get an additional 5,000 till the end of turn, so really nice to enable something maybe that doesn't hit 2 hit. If you have a backup grade 2 that doesn't hit a grade 3 Vanguard, or you can put it on your Dosslage and make that even more threatening. Its second skill, the main reason we use this guy, is when it attacks, all of the rearguard circles in our front row have rearguards. We get to counterblast one and stand one of our other rearguards, so sending Dosslage again, really trying to get that third effect off. Very easy to do in this deck. I find that I do like him at a 4. If you wanted to, this deck doesn't have an issue with resource management, but definitely eats up Counterblast, so if you wanted to cut one of him and add another of the grade 3 order cards, you can definitely do that. I don't think that's incorrect. Moving on then, we are running 4 of these guys. This is Cool Hank, so this is a new triple rare grade 3 out of the new set. His skill on Vanguard Circle is when an attack hits, we get to Soul Blast 1 and draw a card, so applying a little bit on hit pressure. Also on Rearguard Circle, once per turn, when it attacks, we get to discard a card from our hand and stand one of our other rearguards. So again, really looking to stand Dosslage. That's the theme of this deck. It's recurring over and over, so you can honestly get, with 1 Excel Circle, 2 of these guys, there's been turns I think I've attacked like 8 times. It's not that difficult at all to get off in this turn, and the discard is definitely not as, and doesn't hurt as bad because we are getting a triple drive off of Victor, so I do like this card in the deck. I think it works perfectly. It's a shame that this and Kick are just so expensive. It really makes the deck go from a pretty budget kind of build to, I don't know, something like $80 for those cards alone, so kind of crazy. Speaking of $80 and things like that, I am going to actually have a budget Blau build. I kind of settled on 2 different little builds I'm going to present to you guys, so if you are interested, just remember to hit that subscribe button and we will post that to the channel shortly. But moving on to the grade 1s then, we are looking at 4 Extreme Battle of Arashid. So as I kind of mentioned in the beginning of the video, the shortcoming or the downfall of this deck is the lack of consistency getting to grade 3. Games where you find it, things go absolutely smooth. I find that I get off what this deck is trying to do over and over without a problem at all. But if we don't find that, we just have a really bad time. So I am running 4 of the grade 3 searchers, obviously maxing it out. Just helps us achieve what we are looking to do by getting our ideal grade 3 ride. Moving on then, we are running 4 of Extreme Battler Ganbarugan. Super cool little head looking guy. His skill, once per turn on rearguard circle, is when it attacks. If you have a Vanguard with Victor in its card name, you get to Soul Blast one and stand one of our other rearguards, and if this unit this unit gets 5,000 to the end of turn. So you could honestly put this in the front row unboosted. You could Soul Blast one, and you could pop open one of your, or stand up one of your Dosledges, which is really, really nice. If you don't have maybe a counter blast for the cost of kick, or just need it one more time, this is honestly a really nice way to get your guy to stand. We want everything in this deck to just kind of facilitate that standing, so if it doesn't do that, it's not in this deck. That's kind of my philosophy here. I know some people build theirs a little bit different. I'll touch on some cards that I didn't include that could be a possibility, but for as of right now, we are just running 4 of those. I really like this card. And then our final grade 3, I am running this guy because I'm running Brutal Jack, and again, if it restands, it's in this deck pretty much. So this skill, this is Unknown Adamski. Its skill on rearguard circle is when placed, we get to counterblast 1, and then we get stand one over our other rearguards and attack our opponent's Vanguard with that unit. At the end of battle, if that attack did not hit, we get to stand that unit. So we are essentially standing him possibly twice off of this one card, which just facilitates our strategy so much. I mean, this gets us more than halfway there off of one card, so I really like this card. I think it's super necessary in this deck. If you're not running it in here, you know, you probably will have a bad time. So running him at a 4 of super necessary. And to wrap up with our trigger lineup, oh yeah, I am running one of the starter. I always forget to put the starter in, but I'm just running Blau Younger. I really love Blau. Did that profile. If you guys haven't seen, go check that out. But I kind of throw them off maybe in the beginning. They don't know exactly what we're running for Ride and Irishad. You know, they could be preparing either way. Alright, but moving on then to the actual triggers, I am running 4 heals, and then I am running 12 crit actually, so I am getting the triggers right this time. I know everyone keeps calling me out on the Anger Blade one, an extra crit cat in there, I know, but sorry about that. So I just feel like in this deck we need to be applying pressure all the time. Victor has a built-in grade 2 searcher that for our Dosledge. That's the main unit we really need. Honestly, we're looking to close out games as fast as we can, and if we can restand our Dosledge with like 2 crits on it 2 or 3 times per turn, I mean, if your opponent's not on grade 3, that's an extremely difficult turn to kind of deal with. So I really feel that critical triggers the critical sentinels definitely help put out our opponent and just end games a bit quicker. If you guys disagree, let me know down below. Again, adapt your trigger lineup to your local meta. If you have a ton of force players, then yeah, you don't have to run 4 of these guys. You can run 2 and 2 for the draw PGs. If you have a ton of Excel players, yeah, I would probably stick to these 30k shields. I mean, they are really nice, and again, you don't have to discard another thing from hand. So yeah, let's get into a test hand, and I'll show you guys the main idea of the deck, how it kind of works, how it kind of functions. And again, if you just kind of skip ahead to this part, we will be having a budget Blau deck coming up. I know I kind of said during my video that budget Blaus didn't really work, but I found 1 or 2 builds that I kind of like, so I'm going to present you with a couple different options. I'm always trying to be out here for the little guy, so to speak, and really just make an affordable deck that people can just pick up and play. I know not everybody has the resources to, spend $80 plus on just 4 cards, so yeah, we'll look forward to that. Also, we will be having a Narukami video with all of the new support. I got like 3 decks I want to bring to you guys. So yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to just hit that subscribe button to get all of that content, and possibly consider leaving a like on this video. Without further ado, let's jump right into a test hand. Just really quickly wanted to mention a couple other cards that didn't quite make the deck, but definitely could be up for consideration. First of them being Cutting Jer. This card, in combination with a couple others, could be nice. Its skill is when placed on rearguard circle, we can Soul Blast 1, rest this unit in another unit, and then draw a card. So getting a little bit deeper into our deck, drawing out maybe some of the key pieces that we need. But again, this doesn't really stand anything else, and we don't necessarily need to draw a ton. Like, all of our pieces pretty much already do what we want them to do. They all focus on standing cards, so I just didn't think this was the most necessary card in the world. If you are using this card though, if you do want to cut maybe one of the grade 2s that are a little bit expensive or whatever, you can run a couple of these guys as well. Beast Deity, Scarlet Bird, just make sure you have the Beast Deity starter as well. Its skill on Rearguard Circle is when placed during our main phase, we can Soul Blast one and stand all of our units. If we stood 2 or more units, and if Beast Deity White Tiger is in our soul, we get to draw a card. So getting a double draw off of that, which is really nice. You're creating those targets for this guy to use. This is a nice combo. I'm really just looking to stand everything. I don't always need to use this card to do that. I know this is really looking for that 2 or more, which is really good with Brutal Jack, but I think the Adamski with the extra attack that it gets in for us and potentially restanding again is a little bit more valuable. But if you guys want that kind of value package, this is definitely a good way to go. And the last card that I didn't include in my deck, but is up for consideration, is Extreme Battler So Saucer. Again, this guy on Vanguard Circle is when placed, we can discard a card from our hand and draw a card. I don't like drop draws a ton. If it was draw drop, maybe that would be better for filtering, but the second skill is once per turn when it stands. If this unit's on additional Rearguard Circle, we may have this guy get 10,000 until the end of turn. I just think that we're trying to close out games as quickly as possible. We're not generating multiple markers every single turn. The game's gone on long enough to have this guy on an additional Rearguard Circle. I don't think that's a really great sign, and you're absorbing resources. This is a good card if we don't have a DOS ledge, but this is not the guy we want to be restanding. And again, that is once per turn. You don't get that additional, 10k a second time. So DOS ledge obviously does a lot more, and I feel like there are better targets to put on additional Rearguard Circles, like the Kick Typhoon, who can give away an additional 5k to another unit. But again, if you wanted to maybe create a more budget version of this deck, this is definitely a card you can include in there. It's not incorrect. I just don't think it kind of goes with our overall strategy. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly where this little clip will be in the video, but let's hop right into a test hand. I think that's going to be next, the way I structure it. So yeah, let's hop right in. Alright, let's shuffle up our deck over here and get right into it. Again, super fun deck. I am really enjoying this thing. I think the biggest issue, though, like I said, is the consistency. If you don't hit that grade 3, definitely not going to have an easy time of the game. Otherwise, I think you definitely have a fighting shot against probably 80% of the decks out there. I feel like any high pressure aggro deck that puts a lot of pressure on us, multi-attacks, is tough for us to deal with. That's probably the worst matchup. Alright, but we did get 2 of our victors here. I'm actually going to hold both those in hand. Let's put one of these guys back. We have a grade 2, right? Yeah, okay. There we go. Draw. So sometimes you get lucky, sometimes, you don't find a victory for the entire game. So that's just how the cookie crumbles. Alright, let's pretend that we go first, as we do in all of our playtesting videos. Let's stand and draw. Alright, so we got him. Going to ride and draw. 2, 3, 4, 5, top 5. He's not hitting grade 3, no big deal, we got 2 in our hand anyway. Shuffle this back up. Alright, over to our opponents, assume we take damage. Trigger, shuts off their turn, stand and draw. Who do I want to ride? I'm going to ride him. And I'm going to call him. And again, this gets a +10 on our turn. And if we do, yeah, we do have a DOS ledge in hand, so we are able to rest him next turn, stand him with a couple other shenanigans that we'll have going on. So let's go with him, and let's go here. Let's assume we do hit him. Soul Blast 1, let's draw a card. Alright, over to our opponent. Let's assume we take 2 damage. 1, 2. Oh man, Adamski, that hurts. Let's stand and draw again. Brutal Jack does not stand. Okay, we do have an Adamski here, so not too bad. Let's ride our victor. Alright, let's get Excel 2. I always like going Excel 2 in this match, in this clan, so I'm going to draw off that Blau, get another victor. Just a quick, shameless plug right here, if you guys are interested. These are little custom build-in markers. I'm going to leave the video down in the description below on how you can weight them as well. Let's move on with our turn. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call, oh yeah, I'm going to look at the top 7 first, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See if we find a DOS ledge here, so I don't have to call it from my hand. And we do not, but we do find an Extreme Battler. Let's do this. Let's call him behind him. Yeah, we'll call him behind him. And Brutal Jack. I'm going to rest 1, sorry, and 2, and I'm going to stand my Brutal Jack. Going to use Damski. Going to counter blast 1. Going to restand him. I'm going to attack it with our Vanguard. Let's say re-attack, does not hit. Restand, so again, I'm already doing this twice, so that's 10k. It's a soul charge 1. Charge a gift trigger, of course. Alright, so now he's sitting at 24k on that Excel 2 circle, so really nice. Let's do this. Deck thinning is deck winning, as they say, so let's look at the top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something already stood this turn, didn't hit anything, so this guy gets an extra plus 5. Decent board overall so far. Oops. Alright, let's open up with Gosselage 24. Let us go. Yeah, we can do this guy now. We're going to swing skill. Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. We're going to restand him, and this is the 3rd time it stands, so we are eligible for that triple drive here. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Do get a crit. Let's assume they PG'd this. Let's put the crit on here. This guy is now a 34k attacker, which is pretty nice. So let us swing again with him. 34k, 2 crit. We'll swing with him just to pepper them a little bit, and then we'll swing with our Pool Hank and Damski. I'm going to discard a card from our hand. I'm just going to discard a Victor because I have another one already. And I'm going to restand him. So how many attacks did I have this turn? There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 attacks on my first grade 3 ride. And honestly, this guy is swinging big. The way that Blau swing, you know, kind of just generating multiple Excel circles. I feel like it's more of like a wave kind of push. You're just attacking with a lot of decently powerful attacks. With this one, it's more like, alright, I'm just going to stand Gosselage over and over. I'm going to go to town. They can't call Guardian circles. Try to close out the game aggressively. If you have a nice grade 2 turn, really try to plop down some of your units there and just pepper them as much as you can, so that way if you hit just 1 critical trigger, and then I swung I think twice with that double crit on there, so decent turn overall. I really do like this deck. I think that can be aggressive if you guys are beginners in the game. This is nice because this kind of teaches you just kind of like a multi-attack mindset. It can set you up. If you want to play Narukami, then you can start to think about other like attack timing chains. I feel like this kind of gets you in that mood, or in that mindset in general. So yeah, I definitely enjoy this deck. If you like this profile, please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like on this video. Let me know what you would change, if anything. And this is Alex from Team Generations, signing out.